Hey there, Mike Perez with Mastering the Young Band. In this video, I'm going to go over transitioning your flutes from their beginner flute embouchure formation to how to play onto the full instrument. So this video is assuming that your students can get a really consistent sound on their head joint with both the open sound as well as the closed head joint with their hand covering the tone hole. Or I shouldn't say the tone hole, the opening on the head joint. Once your students are really consistent with that, they can get the sound. 90% of your kids are getting the sound. By the way, this is beginning flute. Every year I have a flute or two. I usually start about 15 flutes. I have a flute or two that really struggle to get the sound. I don't wait for them to get the sound necessarily before I go to full instrument. I'll work with them one-on-one to help them get caught up. So once your students are consistent in their embouchure formation, they're getting a good bunny lip, they're getting a good oval aperture, and they're getting a good sound just on their tone hole, it's time to start transitioning them to their full instrument. Now, just a couple of things before I get started on this. It is really good and important to teach your flutes the fingerings and the hand position for flute as they are learning their flute embouchure. So what I might do is I might have a 5 to 10 minute time of just embouchure formation. They'll go, okay, get your flute, and we'll do this without the head joint. And I teach them about their flute. I'll teach them about tenons and keys. You'll notice I have 2 pieces of tape here. We will tape their flutes so they know where their contact points are. And then we'll talk through the fingering system and all that kind of stuff, and we'll practice that before they ever play on it. That way, when it is time to start talking about fingerings, they know what all of that is. So back to introducing the full instrument. So I start my beginner flutes with the note C sharp. Now, if you're a flute player, you're probably going, C sharp, why? If you don't know what C sharp is, if you're a percussionist or a brass player like me, or you don't play flute, C sharp is the note with no keys down. Why that's great is kids can just focus on their embouchure. They don't have to worry about where all their fingers go. If you try to start just a regular note on flute, it can be really hard because all they're thinking about is their fingers and they lose track of their embouchure. So C sharp's an awesome first note. Here's how I introduce it. What I do is I have them get their left hand and they hold the barrel of the flute. So they hold it like this. Then their right hand, they go 2 fingers and a thumb underneath their where it's marked on the tape, which is underneath their 4 key, their F key right there. So what they do is they go tone hole against the chin. I always have my beginner flutes, tone hole, and then we roll out. And then it sounds like this. 1, 2. 1, 2. If you notice on that second one, I didn't get a sound. I was rolled out too much. I had to roll in to get the sound. And you'll have to do the same thing with your flutes. The key to that is look at their fog. That will tell you. So C sharp is an awesome first note. They're thinking about their embouchure. They're thinking about the sound. They're not thinking about their fingers. So do a lot of C sharp, and once their C sharps are really consistent, again, once about 90% of kids are getting that C sharp, then I teach what I called modified C sharp 2. So the first one is modified C sharp. Modified C sharp 2, we introduce the right hand. So what you can do is they can have their thumb, 4, 5, 6, and their E flat pinky down, and still play C sharp. Here's without the right hand. With the right hand. You'll notice it changes the pitch slightly, but not much. That is another great step to get them playing with the correct embouchure on their flute. So we go modified C sharp 1, then we go modified C sharp 2. Once they have their modified C sharp 2 down really well, then I introduce modified B flat. So I teach top thumb fingerings. I have another video on the difference between top thumb and bottom thumb fingerings. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. It's on my YouTube channel. So I go modified B flat 1 is top thumb, also known as double thumb 1, and then right hand down. Now, as you probably know, there is no full right hand down for B flat, but this is a scaffolded step, an additional step to help your flutes, because then they can just keep that right hand down and not have to think too much. So we go top thumb, 1, right hand down. Notice, so I do the regular B flat. There's a slight change, but not much there. The stability of having their whole right hand down, again, it just helps them keep their embouchure, helps them with their hand position, their instrument position, all that stuff. That's another great next note for your flutes. Then the next note I teach them, this is where I introduce C. We talk about their thumb hovers. It doesn't do this. It doesn't move to the back of the flute. It just hovers. So we get the fingering, they hold it up, and then we just practice holding that thumb away from the flute. I usually walk behind my flutes for this one just to check their thumb. We go, okay, back down, shake out your hand. Flute hands get tired, especially that left hand. You go, okay, get your fingering, 1, right hand down. Tone hole against the chin, roll out, and hover that thumb. They get the thumb away, and I walk around, and we just kind of hold it. Sometimes for 20, 30 seconds, I make it a game. Okay, keep holding, keep holding. At this point, I'm checking their thumb. I'm also checking angles, all kinds of stuff. And then once it looks good, we play. Here's regular C. Modified C. Once they have that B flat and that C down pretty well, that's when I stop usually working on the C sharp. That's just a temporary note to teach them. So we go modified B flat, we go modified C. Then after that, we go ahead and I usually skip D and I go right to E flat. And what we talk about, so with our flute embouchures, we talk about it being a bunny lip. Your top lip comes down and grips your tongue. If you haven't seen my beginner flute formation embouchure video, check that out. It's on YouTube as well. I have my kids start with the tongue between their lips and then they release the tongue to get the sound. So we talk about their bunny lip, and what's fun about this, going to your E flat, we talk about now E flat is top thumb, 2, 3, right hand down. And we talk about your pinky and first finger need to be in the air. This is just for now. And we call it your bunny ears. You want your bunny excited, you have your bunny lip, and you have your bunny ears up. Boy, my flute's really out of adjustment. My apologies for that. I have a key that's sticking. So we go to their D sharp E flat with their bunny ears up. Then the next note, I go back to D, and we talk about, so we have the bunny ears up, and now the bunny tail is up. The bunny is so excited. Sorry, I have a key that is not working correctly. So anyways, we go to the D after that, and we do a lot of B flat, C, D, and E flat. F, as you might be aware, is a challenging note for flute to get correct. I make sure that those other 4 notes are pretty solid before I introduce the F. And by the way, I highly recommend before you go to the F that you have worked with your flutes on their closed head joint, their upper and lower sound. Doing those changes. Now, technically that's their middle sound. It's not that really high note. But if your flutes have done a lot of head joint work going between that low and that middle sound, then when they get to their F on their flute, they're going to be able to know if they're overblowing it for the F, if they're underblowing it, if they're getting the low F. But they need to understand the mechanism. In order to do that, you want to introduce that on head joint. So the last note I teach is then that F. So to recap, with my flutes, we start with modified C sharp. Then we go to modified C sharp 2 with the right hand down. Then we go to B flat, top thumb 1, right hand down. Then we go to modified C, which is 1, right hand down. Then we go to E flat. That way the right hand can stay down again and the bunny ears are up. Then we go to D. The bunny is excited, the tail is up. Then we move to just the regular F. And I keep those fingerings for probably about the first 4 to 6 weeks of band, where they keep that right hand down, the modified versions. Once they are confident and really solid on their first 5 notes, then we start talking about the actual fingers for B flat. Top thumb 1, E flat pinky. 1, E flat pinky. But don't be in a rush. Keep those modified fingers. Don't worry. You're not going to have a high schooler keeping their modified fingerings. The flutes are going to want to do the real fingerings. They're flute players. They're very particular about this stuff. They want to learn the real fingerings. So that's how I transition my beginner flutes from their embouchure formation to the full instrument. MikePerezBand.com is my website. My other resources are on Instagram and YouTube, Mastering the Young Band. Check those out for more young band content, and I hope that helps you with your beginner flutes.